I think that flexibility and the ability to see into the future a little bit and plan ahead, those are really crucial in keeping the flow of family life going at a reasonable pace. And the others, I mean, if you're...
Yeah. So, well, let's see. I think I think that the answer to to this whole thing could be in my case was to commit to the idea that there's one or two little people that absolutely depend on me, that want me around, that they desire me to be there. And I think that once I noticed that what a big deal it was that I did come home and that I did follow through, I began to commit even more. It's one of the tricky parts about being a father. You have to learn all of this, almost in a different way than mothers do. But like you've always said, it's learned behavior.
Right.
So let's continue. I have here another question on this subject of musts for fathers. Can you tell me a few things fathers can do to make sure their children are functioning as best they can?
Okay. Well, I think patience is actually, one of the most important things that you have, and listening to them. When you listen to a child, you're helping them express their feelings. And we have this, you know about the IQ, which measures your intelligence, but fewer people seem to understand the concept of EQ, which is emotional intelligence. And I think when we're talking about the development of character and personality, those things emanate from a child being able to identify his feelings and be able to articulate them. Because when the child says, "This is what I feel," look, our experience and children's experience of their life, it's not so much about what they do. It's not what we do when we go to work. It's what we feel like, what our sense of accomplishment is. And when we can express our feelings of disappointment and convey it to someone, we could fix the problem. We could say, this isn't working. How do we, but your inner sense of your inner barometer is telling you, I'm not happy. And if you can identify whether you're angry or sad or any of the range of feelings, you are teaching this child how to relate to the larger population and to get something fixed when it's broken, as opposed to suppress it. From this, personality comes. You reach out to the world because you feel that it's listening to you. You develop a sense of frustration tolerance in a child. This is what I mean by character and personality. And it's a must to be patient. It's a must to teach a child how to be empathic towards other kids, and we can only do that by modeling.
Right. That's exactly. It's funny. You finished with modeling. I think of narrating, and I believe I read the term is a deep modeling, which is when you narrate what you're doing, and you can also narrate how you're feeling, and you can actually use the word feel. I feel this, and I think that sometimes maybe adults fall into the trap that we don't say, I feel this when you do that, because we think that we underestimate them by thinking that they're too small to understand, too young to understand.
It starts as soon as they learn language, as soon as they start speaking their first words. We can see there are cues when we look at our children. There are cues. They look either sad, they're smiling. Something as simple. If they're smiling, like say, you look like you're having a really good time. It looks like you're happy.
Right.
Something that simple. Or if like they're angry about something and they throw something, say the word to them. It looks like you're angry about something. What can we develop a strategy to work on this together and see if we can fix it? So they feel like this sense of cooperation, that somebody's trying to help them. They learned a word. They learned that they don't that if they express this word, that somebody's there to, and this is where your availability again becomes important, that they know that somebody is there to try to help them fix the problem, and they don't become afraid to say, I'm angry or I'm sad. They know that if they say it, you're going to respond to it.
Right. The funny thing about your reaching out that way to a child is that, there's this people talk about how children what is it, when they say why for everything, when they are always but I've begun to think that the reason why children are always asking questions early on is because it's all they have ever heard. So if you think about adults' interactions with children, it's almost always like, how are you doing? How is everything?
Or fixing something like, don't do this, don't do that. It's one or the other.
It's never straight communication, like what you're saying right now. So I think that we can start that. In my case, with my children, I definitely always just spoke to them. I didn't. It wasn't all questions or statement or these blunt statements about things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go on with this other question. What are some of the things that are important in the parent relationship that will form the child's personality and character?
All right. Well, here let's start with modeling again,
Right.
and look, our experience with our partners. I think that a cooperative, collaborative, co-parenting program that we've developed between ourselves which acknowledges our strengths and weaknesses for each other, that we develop a way of interacting with each other, that as the child watches us interact, there's a minimal amount of frustration and fighting. Kids are so upset. It creates so much anxiety when the household becomes destabilized with fractious interactions, comments, insults, threats. Those are the types of things that I don't know if you've ever had that experience. One of my early experiences with my daughter was when I was having a particularly acrimonious argument with my wife, and it got pretty heated. And my child must have been like 2 years old, and she was sitting maybe 10 feet away on a couch watching television. And at one point I looked up and she wasn't sitting there anymore. She couldn't take it. She got up, left, went into her room, and we went looking for her, and she was sitting on the floor trying to put like a puzzle together or two Legos. I don't remember what it was, but it was something that distracted her from the fight that was going on. Yeah. She couldn't manage it. She didn't have the defenses, and but later, look, if there's any good thing that comes out of it, she learns that it's okay to fight as long as you resolve it and the anger doesn't fester and create like a long period of bad communication.
Right.
So if you have to fight, you better do it progressively and productively and learn from your mistakes. But in terms of character development, if they see how if they see daddy cooking and doing some of the cleaning and all, this breaks down early primitive notions of gender specifications, like moms do the cooking and dads earn money. Well, what we want to do is break these stereotypes down so kids understand they learn gender equality, that we all deserve the same rights and we all have the same abilities.
Right, and you begin to model the evolution of parenting.
Good point.
Right, because it's true. In the past, women stayed at home because they just didn't go to work. They were not allowed. They were not being hired. But now things have changed. The women now go out, and so as fathers, as caring fathers, we have to begin to show not only our mothers going to work, but now we're at home and maybe we like cooking. All right, Charles. So let's review some of what we talked about, because it's a lot of stuff. So first we have that in these musts, we have that fathers need to be aware of developmental schedule.
Right. Okay.
2, father's relationship with partner is being witnessed all the time.
And patience and availability are the key in bonding with the child.